Hello YouTubers, it is of course me, Trollface the Man, and welcome back to another Patreon early release video. This is a series of videos that I release about 5 days early to my Patreon supporters versus their public release. And today I want to look at something a little bit absurd. A 6 volt to supposedly 400 kilovolt booster. And this is claimed to be used for things like stun guns or tasers, which, well, man, it has me convinced that it most definitely could be used for something like that. I know, you want to actually see it function. So this only cost $1.68 when I bought it, and I'm thinking, could it possibly really work? Probably not. So I bought 4. This is one of them right here, and I can say that it most certainly does work, and it is most certainly quite spectacular. I'm going to take this and put it right here, because as it turns out, this table, though it's granite, apparently has a lot of iron content to it. So I'll show you that a little bit later, but things like magnets and stuff stick to it, and because of high iron content equals conductivity equals some odd effects with this booster pack. I have 6 volts here, being a battery pack that I made in a previous video on my Halloween LED lights, and it is literally just, well, 4 1.5 volt AA batteries. And, I have a good habit of just knocking stuff in random directions. Let's see how this actually works. I am going to take a wire and connect it right here. And just in case you don't believe me, I will show you here all in one shot that this is the same wire. No. Here's the, yeah, I'll just connect this right here in case, I'll zoom out a little bit actually. Connect it right here, because this is just something I have that I can use as a splitter, but I know you might think I'm hooking it up to something else. I want to make sure that you can see that I most certainly am not. And I'll turn this on. Now, I do not know how this is going to react with my camera. It is very, very likely that you're going to hear a high-pitched whine or squealing sound, so just be warned. Electrical discharges or electrical fields, especially high-voltage ones, can cause weird interference. So if anything like that does happen, I apologize. But, okay, let's turn it on. And you most likely, if you can hear like me in person, you'll hear a high-pitched whine when I start it up. Yep, just like that. You see it's the same wire, and watch this. Woo! Yes. I mean, if it wasn't a stun gun, well, if it wasn't something that could be used for a stun gun, you'd have me fooled. So I am a little bit sick right now. 400 kilovolts? Maybe, maybe not, but damn if it isn't impressive. So there's actually a specific project I plan to do with this in the future, but more on that a little bit later. I want to show you sort of a neat sort of effect that I found with this, which is if this has a end that's isolated, so like you have both of these ends, one wire that's completely isolated, insulated, whatever, from the other end, and if I were to touch it to my finger, nothing really happens. So you might hear sound shifts depending on where it is. And I can actually feel, if I put my hands between these two wires right here, I can feel a sort of charge in between them. Very interesting. I can actually, like I said, feel the charge in between the two wires. But what's cool is that I'm going to take this down right here. Oh, my battery pack just became disconnected. Also, this thing holds a little bit of a charge, so smart to discharge it first like that. If I take, I'm going to hook this up real quick. Be right back. Oops. I'm going to hook both of them back up now. All right, it is back hooked up again. So what I was going to say is, if I were to take, actually I need to insulate this. What I'm going to do is I gotta keep, because actually the charge will jump directly to the module itself. You can actually see what's statically charged there. It's picking up some hair. If I were to put this on top of here to completely isolate it from this table, I'm going to connect 2 wires. One to this side. I have no clue which side is positive and which side is negative, but I don't believe it should matter much in this situation. But anyways, if I connect it to both sides of this module, I turn it on. There's a charge I can show you. But what's interesting is nothing happens if I touch my finger to it. And you might think, why is that so interesting? Well, I will show you. So nothing happens, you can see. The thing that's interesting about it, ooh, actually getting a little shock right there. That's what I was talking about with it sort of like shorting. The thing that's interesting is, I mentioned prior that this table is slightly conductive. So if I set these cords down on this table and I turn on this, watch what happens. I don't know if you can hear that. But what's happening is, just because of the wide surface area of the table and the charge sort of being able to build up on here, apparently it seems as if the table is acting as an antenna of sorts. And when I touch it, I can feel like all the hair on my arm just stand up and get sort of pulled toward the table. Now I can demonstrate this even better by actually touching the table, and there are spark jumps, which I will move the camera here real quick and I'll show you. Okay, so you can see it. And that is actually charge traveling through the table. And then if I touch my finger to it, ooh, yeah, you can see it now. I'm not touching the table at all. But you can see that because I'm so close in proximity to this table, the charge is able to basically go wirelessly into my finger. Now if you want to see what happens if I actually do touch the table, I'll do it right now. Now, if I do it right now, it's much stronger effect, you can see. And slightly painful. So not touching the table, not touching the table, charges hardly anything. If I touch the table, come on camera, I touch the table, charges, rather powerful. Let me show you my knuckle, there we go. So it's able to transfer actually wirelessly just because of the high voltage charge. And this does seem highly dependent on surface area, both the surface area of the table and the surface area of what's touching the table. So more contact points makes this effect stronger. And the way I can show this to you is if I take a big piece of metal, I put it over here, and I attach these wires to the big piece of metal, which is going to help the charge transfer to the table. Instead of having one small contact point, now we have a big contact point with the table. And now if I turn this on, you can see, once again, I don't know if this is going to be horribly messing with the camera, but there's a very strong aggressive charge now. And the same thing goes for me. Ow! Very. I'm not even touching the table anymore, and it's about like what it was when I was touching the table. Now if I do touch the table, that hurts quite a bit, actually. Not as bad as this per se, but I am getting a fair bit of charge. So once again, because this table is conductive and it has a lot of so I'm getting a lot of charge, transferring more charge because of the wider surface area in contact with the table. This doesn't even just apply to metals. It also applies to things that may be less conductive, such as cardboard, and I can actually show that to you. I think I might have burned my knuckle a little bit. Well, one sec. So if I were to take this cardboard box, it's not attached to anything, as you can see, this run-of-the-mill cardboard box, and I were to do the same thing, you'll see, or at least be able to hear, hopefully, that there's a charge jumping to it. And that's because, I'm going to turn off the light, you'll be able to see better. That's because cardboard is slightly conductive. It will not do this at all with plastic. If I touch the plastic, no charge transfer at all. But for things like cardboard, especially me, so I'm very highly conductive and I basically act as a giant antenna, especially when I'm close proximate to this table. Like I'm saying, I can literally feel every time, every time the spark jumps to me, all the hairs on my arm immediately start pulling toward the table. It's a very weird sensation, including the hairs on my leg too, because there's a metal stand underneath the table. So yeah, if I touch the table, much stronger effect. Whew. Yeah, very cool. And, keep doing that by mistake. So yeah. Oh yeah, one other thing. Oh cool, check this out. Ow. One sec. Sorry, I actually have to turn off my my camera every time I touch it because I don't want to actually end up messing it up. But ow, watch this. A little piece of leaf right there. Ow. I keep getting shocked from this wire right here because it's jumping in my finger. You can see that it actually acts like a static charge and will move stuff. I can smell the ozone effect very strongly too. It's, oop, just blew it away. Very, very interesting. To demonstrate this effect of being able to move stuff a little bit better, hopefully you'll be able to see this. I'm sorry, I have to sort of run my camera at a very low frame rate in order to actually pick up the sparks. Otherwise they happen too fast at a high frame rate to actually capture. But, so here's some sand here. And the sand's actually jumping around. And I'll pick up and dance a little bit. We'll put some on the table here because it's not as intense. So hopefully it will be able to be a better demonstration. Ow. Little sand particles are actually moving. Oh, there we go. So it's actually repelling them quite strongly. Very interesting. So yeah, if you guys want to find a stun gun module like this, like I have here, then you can find it on eBay for about $1.68, and they actually work pretty good. And I will even leave a link in the description and in the comments of the specific one that I end up finding. And even though this is extremely high voltage, it should technically not be very dangerous because of its high... Ow! 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 Okay, that's enough of that for now. It should not be dangerous because of its low total amperage, you know, the very small milliamps, because it's not going to have much much power with just those 4 AA's. So at least that in theory. But I do have a plan for this in a later date that hopefully should be a fun little project. Ow, my finger actually hurts quite a bit now because I brushed against the table, and then my leg also brushed against the table, which increased surface area even more and gave me quite a good few shocks at the end there. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoy the video, please remember to comment, to rate, and subscribe. I appreciate it. If you want to find your own stun gun module like this, you can check the description below, and I will leave a comment with the link to it, or I will make sure to put one in the description of my video, so that way you guys can find this for yourself.